What's up? Sorry, some technical difficulties there, guys. Sorry about that, but what I did was I put the link to the StreamYard in the I'm just putting it in the comments now, but I also put it in the description of the video if anybody wants to join me tonight. I know I have a couple of people who were said they were going to join tonight, so we'll see if they do. But what's going on, everyone? Again, I apologize. Can you all hear me? Please let me know because I'm trying something new out and I want to make sure that I can hear you, I can hear whoever, and that you can hear me. So please let me know. Can you hear me or not? So is that a yes? You guys hear me? All right, cool. Long day. It's freaking Friday. Just a lot of stuff going on. Hope you guys are well. I got this new soundboard. So I'm gonna play something. I want to know if you guys can hear it. I have no idea if you can or not, but please let me know. So here we go. Did anybody hear what I just played? And if you did, describe what it was. So I have somebody backstage. I'm going to let him in, and maybe hopefully I can hear him.
Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you. So that's good. Did you hear what I played?
No,
or no?
the soundboard's not connected properly.
I got to figure out how to do this because I thought I had it, and obviously it's not playing now. But it was a Skeletor laugh, so I thought that was cool because that's all me. But it didn't work.
Soundboard and it works in StreamYard, but it has a tendency. You have to know which is the right input, so it's probably the stream input. So that's what you have to check on the settings. Because I have the same thing, and it becomes a pain in the butt trying to manage it, man.
Exactly. So what are you gonna do, right? I tried. Next time, and I don't go live often, so when I do, hopefully it'll work next time. What's going on with you? How you doing?
How you doing, Lawrence?
Good. I just saw you had a show just now, right?
I had a recording, a pre-recorded.
Oh, okay.
So it did so I did a collaboration with Global Comics. They're kind of like the new version of Comixology, and we talked about this back in a couple of weeks ago about essential Superman readings before the movie. So go check that out. There's a link for a discount as well if anybody's interested. And that was that. And then, as you already know, I'm always doing a video these days now. There's always something up.
I know you got one like every day, but I commented on your last live stream. Like your intros have been awesome. Like you just like the over like you talking over what you're playing. It's just such a good sound. So keep doing what you're doing, man. It's really
Thanks
good.
a lot. I really appreciate that. It was one of those things that, and we talked about this a while ago, where I had to go back and just kind of like stop for a little while. I took a little hiatus for personal reasons, as you know. And then I said, how could I make this better? And as time progressed, it just kept getting better. You know what I'm saying? And that's how your channel gets better.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's the case, man. I've been trying to change stuff up. My views have been less, so it's just not that great, but I feel like the quality of my videos have been better. So I don't know.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know who I am, because I know we don't have our names up, I'm Izzyverse. So if you look up Izzyverse NYC, that's who I am, man. I see Wobbly Wallace. I love the name, but I know a couple of names. I know JSS Brooklyn, man. That's my boy right there.
I wonder why it's not showing up. The things it usually does.
Yeah,
you guys you see I'm really not prepared today, huh?
Go to settings, and you should be able to see it, like show names or something like that.
That's what I thought too. Usually they just pop up. That's why I'm like,
yeah, it's one of those days, right?
Yeah, it really is, man.
Yeah, but
I want to say some hello to some people in the chat.
Let's see.
It's I don't know. You figure that out. But it's not working right now for me. But regardless, I want to say hello to Darth Lopez, who's in the chat. What's going on, brother? Brandon Metro. I have pictures of me Hulk at 10 years ago as an 80s kid. Hulk was an icon and a legend, of course. Christopher Russo, what's going on, brother? Channel member, how are you? Bare Knuckles 74, what's going on? My boy Danny, how you doing, brother? Who else we got in here? I think that's Sixta Garcia. What's going on? I was just chatting with you via Instagram earlier. Adam Rich, what's going on? Wobbly, what's going on, brother? Thank you again for the merch purchase. Really appreciate it, man. JG, what's going on? Says he hears me. That's good. Very, very, very good.
Mhm.
Is that it? Is that it? JSS of Brooklyn. What's going on, brother? How are you?
See a
So
couple
he's
more new guys coming in.
yeah,
Popping in.
his name is Easyverse NYC. I don't know why they're not popping up. No, normally
Mhm.
they show right up. So something's awry that I can't change once I'm in the thing. Chef, what's going on? My boy DJ Links, what's going
DJ
on, man?
Link, what's up, DJ Link Squad?
I think that might be it. So Sean Mitchell says he misses Donna D's nuts. I miss her too, but there's not much stuff going on right now. So I
You better
can't bring
have.
her out. Yeah, I can't bring her out of retirement if there's nothing going on, right?
I guess there'll be stuff going on sooner or later. We got MegaCon around the corner. I'm sure something will pop out of that one.
That's the Florida one, right?
Yeah, that's the Florida one. That's
When
coming up.
is that?
First week of February.
All right.
So that maybe some controversy. I don't know. Who knows?
That's the first con of the year. I mean, I've seen people hit some like smaller cons that
Yeah, that's the
I've
first
seen.
big con. Yeah, that's definitely the first big con of the year. Yeah. Whoa, look at that. That's there you go.
That's what I wanted, baby. That's what I wanted. I found it. There we
You
go.
found it. There you go.
All right, so we're back.
hmm
Now we can talk.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first con of the year. MegaCon is the first big, I guess you could say, A-lister. Unless you call it a B-lister, and then you call New York and San Diego A-listers. I don't know. I don't know how we rank these.
Have you been to MegaCon before?
You know, that was the funny part. I was this close and going this close, and then I looked at the lineup and I said, I could see those guys locally, like
Yeah.
pretty much everybody there.
That's the thing, man. Like a lot of the dealers that go and a lot of people that set up, it's if you go to New York, like a lot of those people are there anyway. Granted, it's 9 months away from
Yeah,
MegaCon, but
and I think the benefit in a show like MegaCon, like New York Con, like San Diego, I think has everything to do with if you're interested in buying exclusives. That's what that con is. It's an exclusive show. It's like get your 1 in 1,000 or your New York Comic Con or MegaCon exclusive, where I don't have a desire like that to get those books.
yeah, for me to travel to another state that's not drivable for me, it's like there has to be something like really like that no other con's gonna have in our area, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and in our area where we get so many cons, like tomorrow we got a con.
Yeah, I know.
That we're going to.
Are you going?
Yeah, I'll be there.
So I'm not going. Last 2 years I went. There was it's Garden State Comic Fest, the Winterfest, and the one in the summers to me is a lot better. Last 2 years I've been disappointed. I've been like in and out, and it's like an hour drive for me. I can't imagine how long it is for you. It's got to be at least an hour and a half.
No, not even, because it's kind of like so. I'm based. For those of you who don't know, I'm based in the Bronx. It's pretty much you go through the George Washington, and it's just like a few miles from there. So it'll probably be like 30 to 45 minutes.
That's it, dude. It takes me an hour, and I know because my brother-in-law lives up there with his wife, so he's literally like 5 minutes from where they have it. But again, I heard a couple of years ago, like I remember Erod going a couple of years ago, and he found one booth where he like the guy was like really underpriced, but everyone else was just crazy expensive. So to me, it's like, why am I going to do the trek?
I'm also going to catch up with one of the guy who presses my books. So shout out to Comics Cap Collectibles. He presses my book. We're going to meet up. I'm going to give him a stack of books to get pressed so we could send them out to CGC. I do have the books here so I could show them to you.
Yeah, while you're doing that, let me say hello to a few other people who popped in. Conlon Comics, what's going on, brother? How are you? Victor, my man, what's going on? Always a pleasure. Always sharing my stuff on Instagram. So, Victor, I really appreciate that, man. Still only 35 cents, another channel member. And he said, I might be on to like latest 9 o'clock. That's it tonight, I think.
That's exactly what I told my wife, too.
Yeah. And DC Chris, what is going on, my friend? The dreaded Cross Bronx. So I grew up in the Bronx. I didn't grow up though. My parents grew up in the Bronx, but I lived there on and off because my mom lived there until I was about 13 years old. So I'd always go there. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
I got a nice little theme for you. Someone said main man. I think you did, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about main man. So I'm gonna get this one pressed. Right. Love this cover. But like I said, you gotta see a little theme. You'll probably catch it right now.
Lobo.
Yeah. I do like everybody's like, you got to get on the Lobo train. No, I've always been on the Lobo train. He's just one of those characters for me, you know?
No, you're a
So,
fan. That's what I tell people. If you're a fan, like I'd be buying the books. If you're not
yeah.
a fan, don't spec on the character because it's not a book that's gonna rise to a point where
Yeah.
you're gonna make money on.
It's,
Wobbly asks if we're going to King Con. I am going to King Con 100%.
and then finally, the cream
There
of the
you go.
crop. And this is a pretty good copy too. So I just got to get a light press on it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this might actually be a 9.8 contender. So
All right.
I'm gonna give him these books. He's gonna press them, do as much cleaning and pressing. I'm also gonna give him another stack. And who doesn't love this cover?
Yep.
Right. So do
So
that.
so many times I see that book raw and I want to buy it. All the J. Scott Campbell
Yeah.
Spider-Man covers I love. I just don't want to spend the money.
Some Jim Lee classic here that people don't even know about. Jim Lee doing Death. So that's a great book. This book is a lot more expensive than I thought. Like this goes for like 100 or something. First time we actually learn his name, Lobo.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is the very next issue. And this was actually it's a lower grade, but I could get probably a nice little press on it. So that'll be like the second stash of books, but he does a pretty good job. He actually he did a Lobo #1 for me a few months ago, and that came back as a 9.8. So
All right.
happy about that, right? So I got a little Lobo thing, and just Lobo was Deadpool before Deadpool. Maybe not breaking the fourth wall, but kind of like the hijinks and all that stuff from Deadpool. He's the main man. I love Lobo.
By the way, if anybody just didn't see this amazing fucking thumbnail that I did, come on, man. This is like one of my best ones ever. So I had to share this.
What you gonna do, brother?
Amazing. I love this thing. So
Are you a wrestling guy, Lawrence?
dude, yeah. When I was a kid, not anymore. I can't watch it anymore. But when I was a kid, all the time, and then when I was in college, we were old school. Like remember ECW before WWF ECW? I went to college. ECW. I went to college in Philly, so we'd go all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. I used to go to Hammerstein in New York and watch it. That's like after like they got bought out, like I kind of like went downhill.
Yeah. So when it became a monopoly, it became like so diluted that it was just ridiculous. But now it's gaining some momentum again. I have to say, with AEW,
that's what everybody's saying. Yeah.
The Raw shows have been really good. AEW is starting to pick up a little bit now. Tomorrow, you brought that up in the best timing because tomorrow's Saturday night's main event. So
I know.
So worth it.
So I agree with you, Mark. I tried to make it like is equal as Hogan, but I couldn't do it via the program I was using. I tried really hard today too, but it didn't work out.
It's okay. You don't want to be compared to Hogan like he is these days. He got booed out of the arena.
I know, which to me, he's an icon. Like I grew up with Hogan, so I'm all right with that. Even when he went NWO, like it's still like iconic to this day, even if you don't like him now.
Yeah, and I understand. I understand the hate. I really do. It's more on the lines of from our generation, this was the guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like it's hard to boo him. You know what I mean. Like you may not like the person, but your love is for the character that the person represents.
So we got someone else backstage. I'm bringing on. This is the first here on my channel. I'm happy he's here because I'd like to go on his but he always puts stuff late at night, and I'm always asleep because I'm up at like 4:35 a.m.
Yeah, so, we're the East Coasters. I know what you're talking about.
Well, he's an East Coaster too, so I'm bringing him on. There he is.
I heard someone say you can't boo Hulk Hogan, so I'm here to prove you wrong.
No, I mean you can.
But you understand what I'm saying, DJ, right?
I'm just kidding. So two New York guys, I had to hop on, man. How you doing, Lawrence? Good. Thank you for the open invite, man.
Oh, man, thanks for coming on, man. I've been watching your stuff for years, but like recently, like all your new comic day pickups, dude, I am like, because I'm getting into now again with all the stuff that like people have been saying about the new books coming out. I'm getting into more of the new weekly stuff now that like vintage just kind of calmed down and I'm not really buying too much anymore. So like I'm like consistently watching your new stuff to see what you pick up.
Yeah, thank you. I'm right now because we all go through our different phases of the collecting journey and stuff. And I'm just heavy into reading. So everything that I pick up, like I just read. Like nothing gets put in a box. I mean, afterwards, but I come home, it gets on my desk. I read that. And once I'm done reading that, I'll go back to an old trade paperback or something. So right now I'm just like all about reading. And Izzy puts out these fantastic videos of what's coming out. The following week. So that's what really like influences what I pick up and stuff. But I'm just all about the stories right now. I wonder what's next.
I know,
One
right?
thing I like about DJ's videos, like it's a very big, heavy mix with a lot of indie books that people may not read. That's something that's really good because these indie guys, they put their heart and soul in these books, unlike the Marvel and DC books. Let's be honest. These guys are like, this is their passion, and for the most part, most of them are just really good reads. It's, you know what I mean? So you have to like, sometimes you got to say to yourself, I may not know this, but I'll give it a try. If it sucks, you move on to the next book.
So I was gonna say for me, like when I was a kid, I was all about new books and stuff. But like then, obviously, being a nostalgia collector, I got more into vintage. But I made another prediction earlier this year in that I think new books this year, 2025, at least for the first half of the year, is going to overtake vintage. And you've even seen me put out new book stuff. I partner with my LCS to put out like a weekly their top seller list when they can't do it. So I'm happy to see finally like they're bringing like other people like me who are old school guys who have been doing this for a long time, who don't really catch on to the new stuff. It's getting me interested. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like I try to go back and read some older stuff. Like now, like Izzy was saying, like I'm all about the indie stuff. Like I'm a big like B horror movie guy. Like I watch Shudder nonstop, and that's what I kind of think like the indies are like, where it's just like B level stuff, and everybody wants to be there. You're not there for a paycheck. Like you're there because you want to be there. You're there because you want to put out your story so the world could see it, so the world could see your art. So that's why I gravitate toward the indies. With Marvel and DC, it's there's some good books out, but it's just hard, especially like ongoing series. Like it's hard to get excited about issue number 31. You know what I mean?
Well, it's very formulaic, right?
Yeah.
So they go by this formula of this is how this book has to be, this is how this book has to end up, and then it goes right back to the beginning. One of the biggest complaints I have about new books today, especially when it comes to Marvel DC, is nothing sticks anymore. We were talking this morning, DJ, about Identity Crisis, right? Identity Crisis had heart into it. And when that story was over, there was ramifications that came from it that stood. Now you do a story within 6 months, it's just got erased. It got retconned. And I think that's part of the problem with today's marketplace, today's comics in general, stories-wise, where it's like, you know, it's the same thing. I think that's why the Ultimates and the Absolute books are getting more momentum, because they were told, just do what you want. As long as it has this, and that, we're okay.
Yeah, and that goes back to how valuable rich storytelling is. But yeah, everything is done for like the TikTok audience, the, you know, fast, snappy. We need everything now.
Short attention span.
Yeah, short attention span. I was trying to think of a nice way to say it.
The TikTok audience, even they have a short attention span, because look, what, 6 hours? Gone for 6 hours and came right back.
So me and Izzy were talking earlier about cons a little bit. He's not going to MegaCon. Are you going this year?
I am not going to MegaCon.
How about
somebody hit me up today and was like, "Yo, you going to MegaCon? I need these exclusives." I was like, "Nah, I'm not going though."
You went last year, though, right?
Call? You got the phone call, the pickup phone calls?
Yeah. Last year I went, but it was funny. I just happened to be in Florida last year. My grandmother had passed away, so I was out there for her funeral and stuff. And I was trying to get an AF-15, so I hit this guy up on Instagram. I'm like, "Yo, you at MegaCon? Do you have the book with you? I want to see it, blah, blah." So he's like, "Yes." So I was like, "Yo, I'm literally on the way to the airport. I'm just going to stop in to look at this AF-15. So I had my nephew like literally pull over. I got my ticket on the phone, and then I hit this dude up and I was just like, "Yo, I'm coming in." "Oh, on second thought, I decided to resubmit it to CGC to get a grade bump." And I was like, I literally just went just for that. So I went in, did a lap, said what's up to Noma, said what's up to John Jang, Matt Wilson at Comic Mint, all the homies, and I didn't pick up anything. I just went, said what's up, and then I left. I went right to the airport. I was pissed.
Oh my god.
You straight
I'd
up
be
did a
pissed too.
drive-by.
Yeah,
What's
I was pissed.
What's the first con you're going to this year?
What's coming up next? Probably
I mean,
that Cosmic Con that Izzy was talking about.
Yeah.
Where is that?
Which is in New York. So it's on 18th Street, right? It's
18th
like
Street, yeah.
a small thing, but I guess the not bigger, but it's growing. But King Con in March, right?
You have March, and then there's a new Elite Con thing that's also in March. Are you guys going to that?
Yeah,
I have plans. I got to reach out to the guys, but I definitely have plans to be there.
I plan on going as well. I'm excited at that. Even though I'm not looking forward to driving over to St. John's. I've been there a few times, and for me, living in Jersey, it's not the easiest place to get to, going up to, through Queens
So
and shit like that.
Which way will you head out to the Bronx to get to that spot?
Yeah, and then I'd probably go down the east side to the bridge, to Triborough over there, right?
Yeah,
I haven't done it in a while. Last time I did it was like literally
congestion pricing. You know what I'm talking about?
When Shea Stadium was there. Was probably the last time I did it. I haven't even been to City Field yet, so
I went to City Field. I guess the first Subway series that was at City Field. I went to. Yeah, that was the last time.
I've never been to Shea, and I've never been to City.
Oh, dude, I used to go to Shea all the time when I was a kid.
Yankee boy, I'm a Yankee fan.
That's why. I've been to both.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been to Yankee Stadiums too, the old one and the new one.
I had one opportunity to go to Shea once. I had a girlfriend that was in Queens. We were walking by. A game was about to start. I didn't even know who they were playing. It was Mets were playing somebody. I had no idea, but the game was going to start. And I look at her and say, "Hey, you want to go to Shea Stadium and watch a game?" And she says, she straight up said, "F no." And I said, "Okay." And that was the one and only opportunity I ever had to go in Shea Stadium.
Wow. So Chris is asking, when is the show? So it's March 8th and 9th. It's free parking, and it's only $11 a ticket, which is really cool. Sponsored by Elite Comics 11. They call it Elite Comics 11 Expo. Yeah. So definitely check it out. I'm going to be there on Saturday, not on Sunday, but it should be a good time.
What's weird about that, in the advertisement for the show, the marketing for the show, that they're saying that all books are going to be under fair market value. So how are they
monitoring that?
Telling the dealers or monitoring the dealers of what they should charge? Like,
well, I know a lot of the dealers that he's going to have are the guys that he has on his show. So, I mean, they try to stick to around GPA pricing. Around. It's not, 100%, but it's a new show, so I definitely want to check it out. My favorite show of the year is King Con. I know both of you guys have gone there numerous times. Last year it was right in literally it was like 5 minutes from my house, which is awesome. Yeah. But this year they're going back to the old location in a bigger room, which is nice too. I know you set up there last year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were set up for Comics Curing Cancer. I didn't know they were doing a bigger room.
Yeah, Greg said that the older room that they had there was like the one on the upstairs, and it was like a multi-room thing. He said now I think he's got the ballroom downstairs.
Nice, like in. And
so it's gonna be like a big open space area now?
Yeah. Like, did you go last year, Izzy? I don't remember if you went.
I went last year. I was hanging out with DJ, in fact.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did. So it's like that. It's like all giant, big room.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
I'm looking forward.
I remember the first time I went to King Kong, which was 2 years ago. I went there, and my boy Fury Comics, he had a table, so I was just chilling there for a while. And it was just little rooms. Like there was one larger room, but they all led to other small rooms. And like some of the artists was in like a little corner spot. And so like I know Ryan G. Brown was hanging out there.
It's the same hotel, just a bigger thing, which I think is better for flow. Like everybody kind of be together, which is cool. I think he might have something right outside the room for like the guys who want to live stream, like you guys did last year. I set up there. I set up there last year to sell books. I'm not setting up to sell this year because I have nothing to sell. But I may do get a media table. We'll see. If not, I'll be doing what you guys are doing and hanging around everybody and just doing stuff like that.
And I've been thinking about doing the same thing, doing some media tables like that, just a hangout spot where we could just put videos, talk to people, and hang out and stuff like that. So I'm doing that for the Cosmic Con show that's happening. We just got a table, we get to chill there, and then I get to walk around. My kids are actually going to be selling stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're doing these little trinket stuff that they're doing, and like $2-3 trinkets that kids love to have. They buy them all the time when they go to shows. So I said, hey, you want to make some money? And then she's like, how? I was like, sell the trinkets. I'm sure people are gonna like it, so it's gonna be cute.
I'm gonna be like, sell me this trinket. Like, give me the whole spiel.
Little things that they do. They literally do that stuff, and they got a button creator. So I don't know how
Nobody
they do
says no to
buttons.
kids. Nobody says no to kids, dude. Like if
Yeah, they're not
some
that
kid asked
young.
me to buy some, oh, how old are they?
Like my oldest is going to be 20 this year.
Oh, so no, they're adults. That's not a kid. That's an adult.
Yeah,
The younger one is a kid.
I thought you meant like you were like 10.
At New York Comic Con, I had.
He's seen them. They still look like kids, man.
Yeah, they look really, really young. But you look really, really young too, Izzy. And you're like what, 62?
No, I'm not as old as DJ.
Oh, no, at New York Comic Con, there was a. So I was at a booth. I'm not gonna say what booth. There was a booth next to us, and then that person's daughter came back with a thing of like bracelets and was going to everybody with the bracelets. I kindly said no. So I was just like, "Get out of here with your bracelet."
You're better than me. I don't know if I can say no.
Too.
No, I mean, you're probably judging me, but I was just like, this is not the time and the place.
Yeah, so it's a fun show.
Are either of you guys looking to pick up anything? I know you, DJ, you picked up a lot of big stuff last year. I saw you put out your video or your top wants too. There's some good books on there.
Yeah, so my top wants for this year, first Loki, first Doctor Strange, first Doctor Doom. There's another one in there I forgot, but the one I'm like actively trying to get right now is the Tales of Suspense 39, first Iron Man. So I'm trying to get that in either a 3.0 or a 4.0. Like that's my limit right there. So I'm like actively looking for that right now. It's tough.
Yeah,
it is. It's not something that you see
like that though. I'm looking for like simple books that I have this nostalgic thing now for creators and like looking for their first books and things like that. So that's, one of the videos I do is the creator spotlight, where I just look at a creator's, body of work. And then we find books in that list that's like, this is his first time he did this. And you're like, it's like $3. You know what I mean? So I want to get like Jim Lee's RoboCop, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm pretty sure I could find some of this stuff in those dollar bins. So I'll do a little hunting there. But as far as what I'm actually looking for, I've been big on picking up Spider-Verse characters, not the Edge of Spider-Verse, but like Spider-Ham, those books, Penny Parker, those characters. I've been interested. I picked up already a few of them. I started it last year. Black costume Spider-Man, anything that's black costume style, anything early. So, Spectacular 101, the John Byrne one that he did with the negative space. I want that. I do need a 252, but I want to get it at a good price. So stuff like that is what I'm hunting for now.
Do you, while I ask these guys questions that I'm interested in hearing from them, if you guys have questions in the chat for me or for them or for anybody, put it in the comments, because I'd love to hear what they would answer to some of this stuff as well. But both of you guys, like, do you have like, I know your goals are for the year and stuff, but overall, do you have like a goal for your end game on with comics? Because people who watch my channel know, like, I started like buying like, smaller keys when I got back into it, and then the bigger stuff, and then kind of like at the end, I kind of ended up letting a lot of stuff go and only keeping a few books. What are you guys thinking like nowadays? You want to just keep buying the bigger stuff? Do you want to get like, I know DJ, you're buying some of the big Silver Age Marvel stuff right now. So is that like the goal, to get all the big first appearances?
Yeah. So right now I want to get all the big first appearances of the characters that I like, that I enjoy. It's one of those things where it's a dream come true. Like, I never thought in my wildest dreams when I was a kid that I would own like first Spider-Man and first Hulk, and to have it like right behind me. Right there? Yeah. And to have it right behind me and with a full belly too, is just like, it's insane. So I want to continue on that journey, get all those big books. My Endgame, it's funny. I was talking to my daughter about this the other day. My birthday was on Monday, so I turned 45, and
happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. I was just like, well, it started on Legion of Comics' stream, and then we were talking about when we go, like, what's the plan for all the stuff. And the big stuff, like, my wife knows a lot about comics, and she knows a lot about values and things like that. So like that, the big major keys, like, that'll stay in the family hopefully forever, or until somebody needs money and they'll sell it. But everything else, we're just gonna like donate after that, like, if I go. But like with the stuff that I'm just reading, like, I could let it go tomorrow. Like, I could take like one of these boxes and just put it outside, and hopefully someone will grab it and read it, as opposed to grabbing it and then go pawning it or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to do
the old school method too. That's read it and then like trade it off or give it away and things like that. That's very old school.
I'm a big fan of just leaving stuff in front of the house. Like that shit goes in like literally in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, like you talk about reader copies. I got all that is my reader copies right there that I need. So for me, there's no real end goal. I haven't realized it yet, what it wants I want to do with it. All I know is I need to consolidate. I'm at that stage where I want to consolidate, where I don't want to have as much as I possibly have, because I know at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, what is my family gonna do with those books once I'm gone? Of course, they'll know about the big ones, but as far as these regular books, they're gonna probably just go to a guy and say, "Hey, how much you want from?" The guy gives them, 20% of their value, if that's the case, right?
Lucky, yeah.
And then if you're lucky. So I don't want to do that to them, but at the same time, I still have that hoarder's mentality, I guess you could say, when it comes to comics. It's like it's hard to let go. So, especially if you have a collection that you build since you were a kid.
Yeah, I think with that, it's just having just a collector's mentality, not even about comic books. Like I've been collecting figures forever. Now comic books since the pandemic. Well, before the pandemic, I was getting slabs. And then since the pandemic, just floppies and stuff like that. And then I think if I were to stop comic books, I would probably get back into sneakers, because before that I was doing sneakers for so long. It's always just something. Like I don't trust a person that doesn't collect anything.
I'm with you, man. I do the same thing. I have a fucking sneaker collection. I have a fucking card collection, toy collection, video game collection. It's like it don't fucking stop, man.
Yeah.
That's why I had to just pare everything down, because you start collecting everything and then you feel almost like you can't breathe at times. So that's why I'm at a good space now, and I haven't bought anything for a really long time.
Yeah, that's what at the beginning of the year. What it was on Sunday. I hadn't bought anything like major, so I'm just getting my weekly books. But I was just like, damn, I haven't bought a slab since like. So I was just like, fuck it. I went on eBay and I wound up getting something. So just
you
because
couldn't resist it.
Yeah, I couldn't resist. I'm like, it's gonna go on a month with me not picking up something new. I need something, and
a Daredevil #1.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a good time.
So to me, like somebody asked me the question. I think it was he's in the chat. 6 though. It was asking me. Let me pull up the question because I have it on my phone.
You froze there for a second, DJ.
Yeah, no, I saw my thing.
So right now he's saying that people are still scared to pick up like bigger keys, and this kind of plays into the question: is it a good time to pick up a Daredevil 1? And I'm gonna let you guys answer this, but I want to go first and just say that I still think people are really afraid to like dip their toes in the water on some of the bigger books, because they keep seeing people pay under like last sale and like 90-day averages on GPA. But at the end of the day, like I always say, if you're willing to hold on to the book for the long term and you want to own the book, I think now is a great time to buy stuff. But if you're like one of those people who buy stuff and then you want to get rid of it in the next couple of years, I wouldn't buy much of anything except for new books.
So to answer the question about Daredevil #1, you always do your research, right? You say, you do your research on books like Go Collect, like Cover Price. You check what the market says, but more importantly, you check what the hype is. The reason why I think Daredevil might not be a good choice is because we got a TV show on the horizon that's already starting to build that moment. Right now, there's momentum for Daredevil. If you look at the top 10 list, there's at least 6 Daredevil related books, whether it's Daredevil, Punisher, Kingpin, Muse, whatever it is. So, picking up Daredevil #1 at this time, you might going to be paying more than you probably normally would, just because it's a TV series that people have hype for. I would wait till the hype is gone and then pick it up, unless that's what you want.
I'm not seeing a lot of Daredevil ones for sale. Like, and when I go to look, like, I don't even go to look for eBay anymore, because it just seems like everything's for sale. I mainly check out Instagram, because there's a lot of people posting books, and I haven't really seen Daredevil ones come up too often. So, like I said, if you get a good price, to me, like I think like that 2.5 to like a 4.5 range is like still really cheap. For like a couple $1,000, you could have it.
Spidey. Yeah. There's a cat on Instagram. Izzy, you met him at the Bronx Con. Spidey from Queens, who's right next to me.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He put up a Daredevil 1 2.5 on Wednesday, and it was up for like maybe 10 minutes before it was claimed.
Really?
Oh, it's gonna sell.
Yeah. So he's selling a bunch of his collection. So he put it up. Me, I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm just gonna say buy whatever you want. Like forget about it. Because we've like like we've took
when you make the decision, you did it.
Bro, so I bought that Hulk at the height of what it was
so did I. I did the same thing.
Yeah, and it's dropped like 66% since then. So it is just like whatever. I'm just a fan of just get what you want, and as long as you know your lights are on and you can pay your bills, you get whatever.
So yeah, looking at the fair market values of the book, just recently a 6.0 went for 4,003.
I would consider that cheap.
See, I agree with you, and I say like if you could get like anywhere from like a 4.0 to like a 2.540 to me, or 4.5 is like a sweet spot because I think around for $2,000-$2,500 you're gonna get a good looking copy of that book. Yeah. And what other Silver Age big Marvel key can you get for $2,500? Yeah. Maybe a Strange Tales 110, right? I think Daredevil 1 is a better cover. So all the other ones are at least probably 3,000 above, 3,500 above to get like a nice, really nice presenting copy. So I think it's the cheapest out of all of them.
Yeah. But then you look at books like the Eternals, those are that's floor, man.
People who were buying that shit and spending all that money. Like literally I got my it was like a raw that I paid like $50 for, and that was it came back like a 9.4.
I got it.
It's all based on hype, man.
Yeah. I got a 6.0 just to have it because I HeroCon last year or the year before actually. So I was just by a booth and I was just like, "How much will you sell this to me?" And he was just like, "You know what? Just pay me for the slab, not the book."
Yeah, exactly.
$35. I was just like, "Dude, bro."
Sold.
All the people that were saying, "Oh, buy this book, buy that one," that was like those people should be called out by that. But everybody should have known better on that one. At least at Daredevil 1, it's like that's a major book. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't go wrong buying that book, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he's a Marvel mainstay. You're not going to go wrong buying. And that's why you don't see it come up so often. The value doesn't drop too crazy because these are like Marvel mainstay characters. Like
I think the books that people should track down from the Silver Age that are worth a lot and they're not as expensive are the DC Silver Age. They are so underappreciated books.
The one thing about the DC Silver Age is that there are only a few true first appearances, right? You have the Mr. Freeze and you have Poison Ivy. The rest of them are like first Silver Age appearances as opposed to first total appearances. So I agree with you. I still think the first Silver Age ones are well worth it because the Golden Age ones are crazy expensive.
Yeah, you can't.
Some of the covers are great. Like the first Riddler cover, the pink one. I love that book, man.
First Penguin one is pretty low too. The second Silver Age Penguin, that's pretty low.
All of them. That Scarecrow's low, Two-Face is low, and again, the Neil Adams covers are good.
Yeah, you could get them at a good price, man. Those
a couple $100.
Couple of $100. You're talking about books that are from the 60s. Some of them are even 50s. You know, it's just one of those things that Marvel. One of the things I always notice about Marvel is that people gravitate more to Marvel. They've always have than DC. Right. And I think it's because of that urban flair that Marvel has. Because as a kid, I remember no one was picking up DC books. Everybody was picking up the Marvel books.
I was picking up Batman, but that was pretty much it. I read very little Superman, Superman.
And forget about all the other ones, right? No one cared about the other ones as much.
Yep.
So people always picked up the Spider-Mans. They always picked up the X-Men's, the Hulks. The Avengers at that time, I don't think anybody cared as much, but
I think I was the only person reading Hulk. I didn't think anybody else bought Hulk besides me.
People were picking up Hulk, man. Hulk was a big deal.
Nobody talked about Hulk when I was a kid. The only people they talked about was Spider-Man, Batman. I had a few friends that were Punisher fans like me, but that was it. Like nobody else cared a shit about anybody else.
No, we were like a Hulk family because of the TV show. Yeah.
So I forgot about that.
That's one of the few shows that we used to watch as a family, like all watching the show and stuff like that. So I was picking up Hulk as early on. It was one of the main characters that I was just like, holy shit. So I was picking up Hulk back then. I was raised to that DC is trash, which it's wrong, but that's where like my brothers, my uncle, DC's trash. You don't want to read DC, like just stick with Marvel and stuff.
Yeah, and that's how it was. It was just it was because of the urban flair. Urban feel.
80s Batman Dude, I loved 80s Batman. To me, that was the best time of Batman. After that, it kind of went right downhill. They made him like whatever, but like 80s Batman was a fucking badass. He had to deal with a lot of shit. You know, Robin. I love that era of Batman. After that, I couldn't get into it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my first real introduction to Batman was the New 52 stuff that I actually like, sat down and read, and I bought the first trade paper. I'm looking because I have them right there. I bought the trade paperback in the morning, volume 1, and the next day I went to Midtown Comics and bought 2 through 10 because I just fell in love with that first volume. I was just like, holy shit, I was so deprived. Why did they do that to me and tell me DC was trash?
No, I mean, to me, Batman's always been great, but he died off for a while until New 52.
Yeah. Yeah, I think after Nightfall is when it started dying off. Like, oh, we got a new Batman. And then we ended up getting like 100 new Robins. And I'm like, oh, do we need another Robin? Like, can't we just stay with one Robin?
They should have left them without Robin for a while.
I was going to say, or none.
Or none.
Like, hit the bricks, kid.
Damian was one of those characters for me. Damian he grew on me. I didn't like Damian when he first came out, but he grew on me.
Damian is dope. I love him because he's just a smart ass.
All right, so
the Batman limited series were good too. Like the Elseworld stories, they were
I never read any of that stuff.
Red Rain, good.
I never read Red.
Are meant to be disposable.
I saw that.
Only CJ would say things like that, man.
That's hilarious.
But that's the point of Batman. It's like after like losing like the first couple of Robins, he should have quit then, right? And just gone on by himself, because the whole point of Batman is all about loss. Mm-hmm. That's why he does what he does. So I mean, like, for them to keep doing this to the fucking poor guy, didn't make no sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, he should have just been so traumatized after the first Robin died or whatever that he was like, I'm never taking on another sidekick again. Where's Rachel?
I could get it. I could get if you also, you know what? He has to like seeing someone else come up the ranks to take that mantle. But after that second time and some dies again, be done, please. That's it. Like, he can't keep going through that shit. It makes no sense.
But so they killed off Jason, who was the second Robin. Dick ends up becoming Nightwing. He ends up having his own career after that one. They let him grow up, in other words. Yeah. And then they bring in Tim Drake. You ain't gonna tell me Tim Drake wasn't cool, because I liked him. Because he was kind of like his own guy too. He wasn't like,
I get it. I just didn't think it was necessary.
Like, he didn't need Batman all the time.
I enjoyed when his father was offed in Identity Crisis.
Yeah. We were talking about that this morning. I'm like, that was intense, that scene, that part.
So here's a good comment question. So this OAM, who's a GPK fan like I am, and I love his Curious George picture there, because I was a big Curious George fan when I was a kid.
Same.
He likes his comics unsigned. And I know there's a level of contention, because I know other collectors who don't like CGC signed books or raw signed books. What do you guys think about that? Are you guys signed guys? Or you prefer your books not signed, whether raw or graded too?
For me, I have some signed books. It depends on the situation. Like, it's rare that I'll go to a con specifically with a stack of books and say, hey, I want to meet all these artists and have them sign them. Usually if I like get an exclusive from somebody at the booth and they're there, I'm going to have it sign it. Just like, I think it's a nice thing to do, especially if I'm going to give them an extra few bucks or whatever the case is, or you're taking up their time. So I'll usually do that, but I don't like seek out signatures like my good friend Izzy here.
Well, I don't seek out signatures like I used to.
You got mad signatures, dog.
No, I got mad signatures. Like a good chunk of my collection is signed, because
like everything is signed.
Because it was before CGC. So before CGC, you could get signatures for free.
Yeah,
it was. You could get sketches for free. So I ended up taking a lot of comic books back then to get signed, and now, I'm thankful for JSA, because I actually have a JSA shipment coming in, and there's some good signatures in those books, some of which are no longer with us. But I like the signature part, because first of all, when you meet some of these guys, they're giving you a story that goes along with that. Mm-hmm. Some take too long, Chris Claremont talking to you, but then you end up getting these great stories from guys like George Perez. I got a couple of George Perez signatures, and everyone are personal signatures that I've gotten on my time. And he was awesome to talk to. And then he's fellow Boricua from the Bronx, you know what I mean? And so there's some camaraderie there. I understand when people don't like signatures. I get signatures for me. That's for my collection. And sometimes I give them away. And you know what? Everybody that has given a signature book to, I've never heard them say, oh, it has a signature. You know, instead they ask the question like, I wonder whose signature is it? Because sometimes I don't have the name of the person that's doing it. But
to me, I like signatures on important books. So if it's an important book that's either historically important or a book that's important to me, like ASM 50 is a huge book. I love that book, not only because of the cover and my favorite artist and because of the storyline, but I have a Stan and John Romita Sr. both signed my copy. So like to me, that's an incredibly important book for Spider-Man and for myself. So it was important for me to get that book signed. But other than that, I have never gotten a book signed outside of like a few people that like I bought like DJ said, an exclusive that I got signed right then and there just because they were there type of thing. But I will say this, like now that I'm learning more and more about the new books that come out, I love some of the art I'm seeing and some of the recurring names that I'm seeing that I'm like, wow, this guy is really killing it every fucking issue that I see he's putting out or she. So like I may get some stuff, like if I meet some of these guys at a show or something, I know you have a lot of connections, DJ. I would love to get some of these guys to sign some of the stuff going forward.
Yeah, it's yeah, it all depends on the situation. Like I geeked out and I had him sign Ed Brewbreaker. So I was talking with Matt Wilson at the Comic Mints, and we're just talking, and then he just comes up, and I have no idea who this dude is. And then he starts talking to Matt, and then he was just like, "Oh yeah, man, I wrote Gun Honey." So I'm like, "You wrote Gun Honey?" So I had just bought a Gun Honey exclusive from Fury, and I just had him sign it right then and there. But it all depends on the situation. Sometimes I'll see somebody just, you know, sitting in their booth all alone and no one to talk to, and I'll go over and shoot the shit and let me grab your exclusive.
And there's some signatures that are just fun to get. Like we did it last year with Liefeld. Remember Liefeld getting that chisel?
Jesus,
that was something.
Yeah. So I got a chisel. So I had pre-ordered a chisel signature for it was a Deadpool book. And so I go to pick it up from him, and he's like, "No, I'll give you a fresh one." And then he like breaks out the markers. He's like, "Oh, and then you got to," and he's spitting all over the fucking book. And it's just like I was just like, Jesus Christ, bro, let me get a bump. Like this guy was, he was insane. And Izzy and I, the whole time, we were just like, "Holy shit, this guy is nuts."
He was on, dude.
Spit.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, man.
Yeah, shout out to Rob. I wish I have that energy at his age.
I agree. Like I'm in my late 40s now, and I'm exhausted all the fucking time.
But nap time for me. Doesn't matter where I'm at. 2 o'clock nap time.
Here's a relevant question, because I was going to bring this up at some point during the stream. What about the Diamond going into foreclosure with their comic books and all the other stuff that Diamond books? I don't know what he means by that, but what's your whole take on this Diamond going into foreclosure? I know they don't do a lot of the major books anymore, but still.
So with Diamond, I did some research once the news came out. It's not as hurtful as you think it is.
So let me can I just ask a question? Yeah. It's not foreclosure, correct? It's bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy. That's right.
That's bankruptcy. So it's not as hurtful as most people think it is. Because for the most part, the big guys, they already got out. So we weren't getting books from them anyway. It was more of the indie titles that are suffering as a result of that. But Diamond has proven for a while that they haven't been as reliable.
Yes.
And so, of course, that's a sign of things behind the scene that weren't working. The only thing that saddens me about it is how much help they've done when they were flourishing. They used to help a lot of, small LCSs. They used to give off loans to LCSs. They're like helping them out and things like that. That part, hearing those stories is like, man, that sucks, right? But at the same time, they never really, for what I've gathered, they never really took the time to just update their systems. They were doing things, and quite frankly, people were getting pissed off. And so this was one of those the writing's on the wall happening moments. I wish they would get back up, because it's not bankruptcy, we're done. It's bankruptcy. We're trying to get better.
Yeah. Where they'll get people to come in and possibly more investors or something like that, or freeze their whatever bills or whatever the case is. It's just so that they could keep the doors open. So I'm hoping that they do. I would hate to see like any company fold and people lose their jobs.
My thing is that I've seen some companies saying we're no longer going to use Diamond after they announce this. That's what my worry is, that you know what, now all of a sudden people are going to bail on them. Whatever they have left is going to be gone.
Yeah.
And I do think it hurts the LCS. I do think it hurts more so the creators, the people who are creating out there to distribute the books that they're making through Diamond. And now all of a sudden, maybe they're not going to get that chance.
Yeah. The overall LCS, I think, is fine when it comes to this. You're right with the creators that have that use Diamond. They got to find a different way of distribution.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but Lunar, Penguin, those guys are out there, and there's some
one of them says they're not taking on any more projects. I heard it somebody talking about it, that they're at capacity right now, so they're not taking anything on. I forget who it was. Might have been Penguin. I don't remember who it was though.
Penguin's huge.
Yeah. I know. I don't know if it was them. It could have been somebody else.
Could have been Lunar.
Talk about Fantastic Four 48 and your hopes for the new movie. I'll let one of you guys start with this one.
Yeah, I'll start with this because then I'm gonna have to head out. I'm very hopeful for the new movie. I know there was a lot of people that weren't once the the Silver Surfer news broke and all that stuff. I'm super hopeful for the new movie. I think with all the movies, obviously we're very critical because we're on YouTube and that's what we do. But in reality, anything that came after Endgame, anything that came after Infinity War, I'm just happy we're getting these characters on the screen. Like, these are characters that we grew up with and stuff. So just to see a true Marvel fleshed out Fantastic Four on the screen for me is going to be a treat. To see a fully like big ass Galactus, because we saw it from like the leaked trailer or whatever that they had. Like, all that stuff to me is gravy. Like I just go and I'm just happy to be there and happy to see these things as an adult. So that's just me. I'm hopeful. I'm positive. I don't know. I had an energy drink.
I'm always happy to see a movie come out, and like DJ says, I want it to be successful because that gives me more, right? So, but the only thing is, I haven't seen anything besides what's been leaked or the little things that they've shown. I'm hoping by the Super Bowl, because I think that's when they're gonna drop something.
I hope so.
I think they are too.
I'm sure they're gonna drop something. If they don't drop it when Captain America shows up, because that's when they could drop it. I need to see something.
Yeah,
I'm at that point where I need to see something. Show me something to get my momentum.
I think it's going to be a good movie. I think people are waiting for this. It's going to be their next, MCU thing. So I'm really hopeful about this as well. As for the book 48, if you're not a Silver Surfer fan, I would not buy the book. If you are a Silver Surfer fan, I think it's a good time to buy the book. It's been absolutely demolished, like down 75% from the highs. So I don't know how much lower it's going to go.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's the trifecta. It's not just 48 either. You got to get the 3 books, man. The 3 books are like.
And out of those 3, 50 is probably the best cover, one of the most iconic covers. Like, I love that cover. And then
it was not so bad either.
I like 40. I like 50 the best. I'm with him. 48 and 49. I'm not a huge fan of the covers. 50 is awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right. With that said, Lawrence, I'm going to get out of here. I have to prep my stream later on.
Thank you, bud.
See you, DJ.
I appreciate you, Izzy. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Bye.
Yeah. So, going back to that, like, I'm really hopeful because even though we haven't mentioned it, I'm really digging what I'm seeing with Superman. I'm really digging it. It feels like a comic book. So, and Fantastic Four, I think, is coming out 2 weeks prior. There's a 2-week gap between the two of them. I know that much. I need to see something for Fantastic Four to get some hype for Fantastic Four. I'm excited knowing it's coming out. But I'm not super excited because I haven't seen anything major yet. I just seen a poster here, little tidbits here and there. Give me something to make me go, I gotta go see this now. It hasn't happened yet. And Brave New World I'm fine with that one. I'm looking forward to it too.
I'm a little nervous about that. I'm going to go see it, but all the stuff that I've heard is like with the reshoots and a million other things going on. I'm very nervous for that movie, but I don't expect that movie to be like the best MCU movie ever. I think it's going to be along the lines of all the other MCU movies that weren't Endgame, Infinity War, like the great MCU movies. They'll be along that line, like a
And I
Thor.
think,
It'll be like that.
yeah, and I think with what happened with Endgame, it really was an Endgame. It was like when that movie came out, what came after it just didn't get anybody excited, because unfortunately we're now dealing with the B-listers. I'm sorry, they're the B-listers. No one cares for the B-listers as much as they care for the A-listers. That's why you're seeing Robert Downey Jr. returning. That's why you're seeing Chris Evans returning. They want to see the A-listers, and that's just the way it is. What I see is happening now, where the first batch of movies were a love letter to the comic books. These movies are not like that. These movies have been more on the lines of, okay, we're just taking the name of the comic book and we're going to do our spin on it. That was the problem I had with Eternals. It was like, you're not doing a love letter to the Eternals. You're just using the name Eternals because you wanted to.
Yeah. I think they got cute trying to tie everything in to the MCU, and that's something that nobody has any interest in. That doesn't follow comics religiously, so that they got burned on that. Yeah. But I think you're right. I think when you've used all the major Avengers and the major characters they had available at that time, the next thing to do is to go to Fantastic Four and then the X-Men, and that's why they're going to bring in a new Avengers team.
And that's what that's where the hype is, right? X-Men, Avengers. They're really hyped about a black suit Spider-Man coming into the even though no one knows that's happening. No one's confirmed that's happening.
It's going to happen in Secret Wars. I'm guaranteeing it.
Yeah,
for them, that's what I'm most excited about. I want to finally see it done right. I want to see a comic book accurate Venom. I'm not talking about the Venom we have now. I'm talking about the Todd McFarlane Venom. That's what I want to see. I want to see Eddie Brock hate fucking Spider-Man, compete with him at the Bugle for a job, and then want to kill him. That's what I want to see.
Simple. Dude, keep it simple.
Exactly. That's people would go nuts over that if it's done the right way and Venom looks the part. Dude,
give me a Venom with the logo on his chest.
Yep.
Get rid of all this Sony garbage, because clearly Sony doesn't give a damn. They just want to crank up movies so they could keep the property.
Yeah,
because that's what they're doing. In case you guys didn't know, they're just cranking up movies so they could keep the property.
I want a recreation of Amazing Spider-Man 316 where Venom's got Spider-Man in the dirt, hovering over them. I want to see that on screen. I am dying for that.
I love that comic.
I know.
Love it. When you open up that book and you see all the stuff Venom was doing in that book, like there's scenes where he beats the living crap out of Black Cat, and Todd, he didn't pull his strings on that one. He was like, "Oh no, I'm showing this." He just grabs her by the ankle, just smashes her face into the wall.
And that's another character, like, they got to use Black Cat. Like, it makes too much sense now that MJ's gone in the MCU not to bring in somebody else. And this is the perfect time to bring in that character and, like, have her, like fight Peter Parker, but at the same time, she's attracted to him. She wants him. But, like, it's the perfect setup for this whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I don't know what their plans are for the Spider-Man 4, because they're in pre-production for it, but what they're gonna do with it, I don't know. That's the hardest part.
I think that 90s cartoon Venom saga was part of my favorite thing about that show. It was awesome, absolutely phenomenal. The best part of that whole show was that Venom saga.
What I would love them to do, even though I don't think they have the guts to do it, I would love them to make it into a subplot for another movie, but like give us the story almost as if it was like a TV series, where you get Eddie Brock and everything that goes there, and then ends it off with him becoming Venom.
That's 100%. I agree with you 100%. Like, after Secret Wars, he's gonna have the black costume. You'll see him like maybe take on like a bunch of villains, kicking their ass, but he starts to see that they're starting to take over him. He goes to Kurt Connors in the MCU. Finds out what it is. He tries to get it off. And at the end, like, obviously Eddie Brock is involved at some point at the Bugle, whatever, he doesn't like Peter Parker. And at the end, you see him get the freaking symbiote, turn it to Venom. And that's how the movie ends.
And that's like part 1 of 2, right? Because they've done that plenty of times now. Do it that way. I think that, because you give it more of the love that with Spider-Man. Well, that's where Spider-Man 3 failed, right? Because there was corporate executives in the way of it. I think Sam Raimi didn't understand Venom because that wasn't his character. He was a 60s, 70s guy, and Venom was like a 90s guy to him. So you're like, he didn't get it. So you would have kept him with the Sandman story because, believe it or not, the Sandman story is not bad in that movie. And keep the black costume story intact, and then give us Venom for the next movie.
What I didn't like about that movie was that they changed the whole Uncle Ben's death and they tried to pin it on Sandman. Right off the bat, they lost me right there with that. I'm like, there's no reason to tie Sandman to Uncle Ben's death. There's no reason to do that.
That's in the past. Move on, right?
Yeah, that's what killed him. I thought he was a decent Sandman.
He was. I liked his Sandman.
And the story was okay with, him going to Harry. And then obviously that happens in the comics as well. He turns good and he helps Peter after becoming the Goblin. But there's just too much. And like, you're right. They should have let him get the symbiote at the end of that movie and then go on to the next one to be Venom. That would have been a lot better.
Yeah. And then you would have like you said, the problem is here is that we have a load of villains. You had Harry, who became a goblin, baby goblin. Then you had Sandman, who was a reluctant villain. But then you had this guy turn into Venom, and we only get Venom for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
In the movie, if we do get even 10 minutes of that, and it's like, I see what you're going for, that he's the anti-Peter, but Eddie Brock is not the anti-Peter. He's just a straight up jerk.
Exactly. And this guy wasn't Eddie Brock. That Topher Grace character, the way he played him wasn't even close to Eddie Brock. Yeah. So it was like,
he was Peter Parker as a bad guy.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Like, it looked nothing like the Venom character. Eddie Brock is enormous, jacked, nothing like the character. So if people, that's what people want, though.
I can see John Cena as Eddie Brock, like a younger John Cena.
There's a guy, I forget I forget his name, but he's enormous. The guy they want to play Batman.
Oh yes,
Jensen
I want him to play Batman.
I would like to see an older Batman. I don't like Ben Affleck looked okay as Batman, but to me, I don't like him as Batman per se. But I want an old Batman. I want them to do. I always said, like, instead of doing a Batman versus Superman in that stupid movie, that they just should have redone the Dark Knight Returns. Like, just to do that movie over would have been, because they took so many elements from that story into that movie. They just should have done it, word for word. It would have been so much better. But I want an old Batman. If they're going to do this whole, DC where they're not going to set up the thing, give me an old Batman that's like weathered and he's like called back and he's got to do it because he hates, he can't live without being Batman. That's what I want to see. Like, it's in him because
now that we have this DC universe that they're creating, I think we're gonna get the older Batman. I don't know if we're gonna get grizzled old Batman. We'll probably get more. I think we'll probably get more of a Ben Affleck style Batman where we got a couple of years into him, and it's gonna have it's guaranteed to have a Robin because it's Brave and Bold.
That's my whole point. I think it's gonna be more like a Neil Adams Batman. I don't think it's gonna be an old Batman.
I see that happening. Because and at the same time, you got the Robert Pattinson's Batman, and they're gonna be doing it simultaneously. So he's like, okay, this Batman's here. Let's make an older like this is young Batman. Let's give you old Batman. That kind of thing. But
I want Frank Miller Batman in a movie. I want a guy who just like hates everybody, hates the world, is beyond angry. That's what I want to see on screen. I think like that movie, Batman vs Superman. Like, there were parts of Batman they really got right. That one fight scene, him coming out of the fucking floor and just fucking dominating people, like, that's Batman to me. Like, but
what was great about that fight scene? It wasn't like fast, because when he would beat people up, it wasn't like a super fast, but he was like, ugh, like you felt the punch.
It's very violent. That's how it's got to be.
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of the branding though. The branding thing that didn't do it for me.
I agree with you, but like the brute force and angry Batman is what I want to see. I'm not a huge fan of the whole Robin aspect. I'm okay with it. Like, that's why I like Frank Miller, because he was able to tell the story of a grisly Batman, a hateful Batman, but also have Carrie Kelly, be a bright spot to his darkness type of thing. So like, it played well. So I don't know how that would do on screen with that type of Batman, a brooding Batman with that kind of Robin, but
well, I think it'll eventually come. Eventually.
But I'm 80.
I don't know if it'll be in our time, but it'll eventually come.
Yeah. So I got about like 10 minutes, then I got to jump off actually because today's
Awesome.
my
That's
son.
good for me too.
Today's my son's birthday and he went skiing, so he'll be home in 10 minutes. So
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
yeah. So
everybody got a birthday this week. What's going on with
yeah,
that?
I know, man. We got 10 minutes. If anybody else has any questions, I know I missed some in the chat. Somebody asked, I think Chef asked if who would win between Batman and Spider-Man. And
Batman.
to me, so I think Spider-Man would win, but I don't think it would be. I think Spider-Man would just avoid him the whole time because that'd be a tough fight.
I'm the guy that Batman wins everybody. I don't care who he's fighting. He beats everybody. He's just because that's kind of like Batman's strength.
To find a way.
Strength is kind of like, you're right. Batman's strength is the fact that he's the smartest guy in the room, and he knows how to do things. Where Spider-Man, Spider-Man has all these powers, but he still doesn't understand how to use them properly, right? If you do Spider-Man the way he's normally done, and Spider-Man always he usually always loses. He's just that type of character, and then he finds a way. But yeah, it's one of those things where I will always pick Batman.
So I don't run streams every Friday. When I do lives, I try to do them on the weekend because during the week is just too tough for me. But I do them once in a while. I would love to do more. I'd love to do a podcast too about getting someone and just talk like we're doing here today because I think it's fun. Just listening to people talk about cool stuff, like stuff that you're interested in. I listen to a lot of live shows, but some people just go on and on and on for like 5 hours. I can't do that. So for me, I think like an hour and a half to 2 hours is like the perfect time to just kind of sit and listen and do whatever.
Well, that was my same problem back then. My problem back then was like I was doing shows that everyone else was doing. And I just got tired of doing what everybody else is doing. I'm one of those guys. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to have my own little thing. I want to have my own little method. So, what I ended up doing is just I turned my show into segments that then I could cut them up. Right? I could cut them up and I could pull them out. And the segments would be like 10 minutes, even though we did this week. We did why is it escaping me now? The video's gonna pop into. We did John Byrne this week, and
the artist. Yeah, I've been liking the artist stuff.
Right. So, and it's cool because a lot of people don't see those books anymore. People don't even know what their normal prices are either, and it's just been working really well. Now we're gonna do a monthly show. This is the first time I mentioned it. Actually, we're gonna start doing a monthly show. We're gonna be looking at monthly numbers. It's gonna happen usually around this time. This time frame. I was thinking about doing it where we could look at what was the highest selling book of the month. What's hard is getting the figures.
Yeah, the data is always the hardest part
because they don't like to reveal the figures. They like to say this is the highest selling book, but they don't want to tell you how many books sold.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. It puts you in this weird place where it's like, because I'm not going to reveal who, but I did send an email to someone who gets that information. It was really the only people that were able to provide me information close to that. And then I asked, hey, is there any way I could get the figures for the show? I don't want to be able to say, it's sold this many, but I want to be able to at least give you some info on how much it's sold. And he says, well, you could talk about the rankings. It's like, the rankings are based off of the figures.
Yeah.
How can I talk? It's like, this is the top selling, like Absolute Batman is the top selling comic book of 2024, right? But no one knows how much it really sold.
Yeah.
They just know that it's the top selling book. Ultimate Spider-Man came in a close second. But no one knows how much it sold.
Here's a question before we end the stream is like, why aren't people buying comics at these prices? Comics have come down, a lot of them anywhere from 50 to 75%. Why aren't more people jumping in? I'm going to start and then I'll let Izzy answer this question. Mm-hmm. And I feel that people are still scared. Collectors now want equity when they're buying key issues, right? They want equity. They're afraid to lose money. And I think it's become bad for the market because everybody's undercutting last sale. Everybody's undercutting 90-day average. So all it's doing is dropping prices lower and lower and lower. Eventually, dealers kind of have to stick to their guns a little bit, right? And hold on to books. If people just keep lowering prices, then prices of all comics just continually just go lower and lower and lower and lower. There's still fear right now. So many people have left this hobby because of the downturn. A lot of people got in because of the whole boom, but what's left are the true and tried. Is that a word? tried and true collectors are left in this hobby, but they're very savvy. They're not guys who are just going to spend money on anything or throw money around on anything. They're very savvy. They want to get their book for their price. So that's why people aren't buying, because some dealers aren't budging. But I do think on Instagram, you're still seeing a lot of books sell on all the top consignment pages, on all the top live sales. I'm still seeing books sell all the time. I'm going to be doing a video about one of the live sales that they gave me some figures about Raw versus Slab. And it's a little surprising because Raws used to be outselling Slabs, and now Slabs are starting to pick up to the point where it's almost even. People starting to buy more Slabs again. So, I'll let you handle this, and then I'm probably going to end the stream.
Yeah, so I agree with you entirely. The only thing I'll add to it, and you kind of touched it up, there was money to throw away. So when the boom happened, it happened in a time where there was a stimulus check and people had money to burn. The purpose of that money was to burn it. That was the purpose, right? So what they did was they burned it. And they burned it in books, and that caused an uptick in the books, where the books were selling well beyond what their actual value were, because it became a game of it was a game of supply and demand. It's like, okay, I got the money now, I'm going to give you as much as you need. So people were jacking up the prices. I think what's happening now is that they're leveling out. A lot of these books have leveled out, but people are not buying it because they feel like they're more, like you said, the ones that were in it then are gone. And now the ones that are sticking around were the ones that always knew this. So that what they do now is now everybody wants to buy a book at below fair market value. I'm happy that people are becoming more savvy in their buying their books, especially when it comes to these key books, because you should be savvy. If you buy as an investment, you should know what you're buying as an investment. Don't just buy books for the sake of it. If that's what your point is. When it comes to newer titles should be purchased as what's the hype, because there's hype behind it and things like that. But you have to also understand, why is that hype? How does that hype exist? I'll give you a good example. Marvel Rivals has been killing it in this industry right now, because whenever Marvel Rivals throws in a new skin for a character, a la Malice, Sue Storm, people go out to buy it. I think that's a good thing, and I'll tell you why. Because people are going to buy comics. I also think it's a bad thing because they're buying because they're basing it off an investment of something that is short term.
Yeah.
And that's where people get hurt. When they buy a book at $20 to find out that in 2 weeks that book is $5, and you get burned. And once you do that enough times, you're just going to get sick and tired of it, because you're not in it for the right reasons. You're in it because you're becoming, I hate using the term, but you're trying to become a dirty flipper.
Yeah.
And this is not, you have to know what you're doing. If you think these books are hot, they're not. The only one I think is going to be hot is Jeff, because I got a little thing for Jeff. I love Jeff. But Jeff is a good character, and I could explain that at another time. But yeah, that's my take on it. I do this on a weekly basis. I look at these numbers almost every single day, and that's exactly what I see every single time.
Yeah, I'm with you. Mm-hmm. All right, brother. Thank you for joining me. Tonight's I'm calling it a night. We've been on for like an hour and 15. I wish I could go longer tonight because I missed doing these live.
I'm with you. We got shows tomorrow. I got a show tomorrow to go to.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully we'll do this again. But everybody who joined us, man, thank you. Have a good weekend, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Take care, guys.
Take it easy.